get how he died from this shit.
Like, what if Izuna was doing like the Itachi big brother lying thing, and he was sick, and he just died from his. He did the thing where he's like faking out Tobirama, like Tobirama's Sasuke in this case, to where Tobirama thinks he killed him, for Madara to think that.
It's like, why?
Protect him as his bigger brother, even though I'm pretty sure that Madara is the bigger brother.
Yeah, he is.
Do you think
weird.
being bigger brother as opposed to smaller brother plays into anything of like his narrative or anything? Like hypothetically, if Izuna was
Madara or Izuna
for Madara, like do you think it would have the same anything? Or I guess
I absolutely think it impacts it. Like I think it definitely strengthens because he's in the position because he's the big brother. And yeah, I mean, you see this a lot in anime, at least the ones I've seen. The big brother wants to protect the little brothers. Why? Because he's the big brother, just kind of like the role, essentially. If he was the little brother, it's not to say that, like, it would be less about him protecting his brothers and more, I think it would change things. Like, obviously, if Madara, let's say, no, in fairness, Madara may have had older brothers who just died before we met him. But Madara was protecting his younger brothers. If Izuna was older, I mean, I don't think he'd be looking at himself as, I failed to protect my older brother. More so as, I mean, he could have the same end result, but maybe it'd be more like, I don't know, this warring states period / world / shinobi clan system led to a position where even my older brothers couldn't survive. Or so, I don't know like exactly what, but it definitely impacts it that he's the older brother.
I mean, I think there's an argument for both. I'll get to that in a minute. What I will say is that the way it currently is, I don't think it really matters, because the fact that I can't even tell who's the older or younger brother is obviously a problem if that's what they're going for. Like, I think to rewrite this, I would just have Tobirama and Izuna both be obviously clearly younger and have it be that way instead of the other way around, since Tobirama is the second Hokage and Hashirama is the first one anyways. I feel like that could just work better timeline-wise as well. But I don't know. Like, Izuna just looks as old as Madara, let's be real. It's impossible to tell. It's basically Itachi younger, and Shisui.
But
he looks like the same.
Yeah, but to be fair, you are right. Like, they're only a couple years difference. And the same goes for Hashirama, Tobirama. As the older they get, the more extreme it is. Like, Tobirama doesn't really look younger than Hashirama outside of the initial introduction of, like, you have the 13-year-old or whatever Hashirama and like the 10-year-old Tobirama, you can see the difference.
Yeah.
Once you get to like this, or even the earlier ones, the middle ones, it's like they kind of look the same age for the most part. Same with Madara, Izuna.
Exactly.
I don't know, he just decided to make them close in age.
And especially with Itachi, which is I think what we really need to get into, is that Itachi's clearly looking at Sasuke as like his baby brother, not his younger brother, but his baby brother who needs protecting because he's innocent and unable to protect himself because he's so young and like innocent and pure and all that.
Well, it's also interesting though that Itachi looks way older than Sasuke.
Exactly.
And he is a decent amount older. He's like 6-5 years older or whatever. But he looks like father's son. He looks like he's 10 years older.
Exactly, bro.
Meanwhile, for all I know, Madara and Izuna are the same age apart. You have to check the data books. But they don't look at comparatively to Itachi Sasuke.
They look like 1 year apart to me.
Yeah, they do. Arguably, it'd be more interesting. Well, besides just visually making it obvious, could be more interesting though if they had this more similar, because Sasuke's quote unquote, he's Madara's reincarnate essentially because of interest stuff. He's like Madara. He's also like Izuna. He looks just like Izuna. Got the exact same hairstyle and facial features there. He's literally a clone of Izuna. And Hashirama literally points out, you are a lot like Izuna, and Madara can see that. And Itachi, on the other hand, was having his whole, even though it's fake Madara for most of the time, he's got his whole Madara comparisons, and it could have been interesting to have the parallel of how Itachi deals with his younger brothers, or younger brother, versus how Madara deals with his younger brother. If Sasuke's to Izuna, Itachi to Madara. The only problem is, this is just, I'm blaming Kishimoto at this point, he's decided to make Sasuke like everyone. He's like Madara, but he's also like Izuna. He's also like Kaki. He's also like Kagurama. He's also like Itachi. And he's also like God knows who else. Just
now, okay.
Arguably, maybe Sasuke should have been like Izuna, and Itachi should have been like Madara, but with their differences. Arguably.
Let me just push this to its absolute extreme, and I'll make the point afterwards. Let's just say that Madara and Hashirama are the age they are, maybe even slightly older if you want to make it even more of a bigger difference, but for this, I'm going to push it to its extreme. Izuna and Tobirama are 10 years old at max. Maybe go as far as to Izuna and Tobirama are 5 years old. And so you're looking at this from two fronts. First of all, this is a 5-year-old child who's being killed on the battlefield of war. And then on the other hand, you have a 5-year-old killer. So, especially going into founding the village, I think this would be huge for the reason of, like, to protect the children, and then from Madara's versus Hashirama's perspective, that'd be extremely interesting. And then again, Tobirama is, like, developing his, like, militant attitude early on, showing that he is a killer from even the youngest of ages. His, purity, innocence wasn't there, maybe.
It drilled into him.
Whereas Izuna...
You know, because he's only 5 when all this happens, it's just, like, he's had enough time to have it being into him, because he's not only 3, but it's because he's so young, it has a very strong impression that might be hard to break or something. I don't know.
Which is exactly why it'd be hard to break.
Not old enough to have Hashirama's style of thinking yet.
Yeah, which is why I would have Tobirama continue to carry that with him going into establishing the village, which is supposed to be peace anyways, which is where you get to Tobirama being such a militant person when he's leader, because he never let that go. It would obviously also parallel Itachi, who is on a battlefield of war since a very young age, and that messed Itachi up, so you could do some obvious, easy parallels there. That'd be really good.
Yeah. Real quick, though, because I mentioned it, now obviously, like I said, there's going to be arguments against this, which, yeah, feel free to go into, but what do you think of the idea of, so obviously real quick actually, we'll just go ahead and address the fact that you're going to want to either change or disregard the reincarnation stuff for this, because in this case, the hypothetical is you are comparing Sasuke to Izuna, not Madara, whereas Itachi is going to be the comparison of Madara. They can have their similarities and differences, which will be important in both cases, but the point is Sasuke would be compared to Izuna, well, Itachi to Madara. Thoughts on that as an idea?
Yeah, okay, so I'm glad you're saying this, because I did want to flip the dynamic as well. So in this case, we're going to push it to its other extreme, to where we're just reverse the age roles that we just said. So Madara and Hashirama are the young ones, and Izuna and Tobirama are like the more adult figures in this case. This works also, arguably better for like a parallel to Sasuke, who Madara should parallel Sasuke instead. To where Madara is like avenging his older brother after losing his older brother. Especially considering at this point of a Sasuke story, he's already lost Itachi and he's on the path of vengeance for Itachi, rather than the earlier half of Sasuke where he's just trying to do everything else he's doing. You know, I feel like that would work better for Sasuke here to show the difference between Madara and Sasuke going forwards as well. Since by establishing that similarity, it's almost like a shadow. At that point, Madara would just be a shadow of Sasuke, like how Gaara was a shadow of Naruto.
Yeah, of course, that's a very similarity with it. The only difference is basically I would probably just have Madara look more like I would just flip the designs of Madara and Izuna at that point.
Yeah. I mean, Izuna's supposed to be the kind brother anyways, and if it's supposed to parallel to Itachi, he's going to be the kind older brother who was killed tragically and that Madara wants to avenge. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
In fact, going with that idea, this is like the smallest rarity anyways, so you could just arguably say it is the case anyways, but the elders just are Senju in this case. So Sasuke's trying to kill Senju in the same way Madara was. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, I would probably just do that.
Yeah.
Now, I will say a couple of things with this idea. I do think it definitely would strengthen the Madara Shadow to Sasuke aspect more than it is, because I'm not gonna lie, outside of the fact that they're Indra reincarnates,
Mm-hmm.
how similar are Madara and Sasuke really?
Yeah.
They have their similarities, but like their circumstances, even their personality types just are different. Sasuke was a lot more vengeance prone than Madara was ever shown to be. Yeah, Madara wanted to dunk on Tobirama, but honestly speaking, did he really endlessly pursue that? No. Okay, he said he always wanted to do that, but Madara actually restrained himself from doing so for like 100 billion years before actually
Yeah.
kind of doing it. And he's only doing it because at the end of the day, they are just fighting at the time. Like they're in the war
In
against
fact,
each other. He's not like Sasuke.
It's not just self-restraint. I would say it's to the point to where he's not worried about it at all until he's actually doing it. Not that he's like not like that's a little bit too unfair, but like the fact of the matter is he's just sitting down on the battlefield with Tobirama there, to the point that Tobirama has to be the one to confront him for Madara to even do this in the first place.
Yeah, and in terms of like, so obviously like Madara has like grudges against Senju and stuff, but a lot of it isn't really, it's not in the vengeance sense, it's more in the fear and mistrust sense, because he's fearful of what's going to happen to the clan based off things he understands, especially from observing Tobirama and Tobirama's mindset that's essentially drilled into him from a young age, like we were just discussing the more extreme version. The other thing is it's fucking Izuna who's the one who's telling Madara, no, you can't side with the clan. You've got to avenge our brothers and kill them, blah, blah, blah. Like, literally, Sasuke is like Izuna. Which is weird, because it's like, but then if you look at, especially if you're going to look at the filler arcs, Indra is somehow exactly like Sasuke, but also a lot like mine. It's like really weird. Like, but like you look at like the Senju, or not the Ashura side of things. Now, obviously, like, I mean, feel free to disagree with me on this. Outside of Hashirama just being good at being a ninja, like in terms of skills and talent and shit, like the personality types are just exactly the same. Ashura, Hashirama, and Naruto, like for the most part, they just are very similar. They're all goofy. They're all very cooperation focused and blah blah blah. Like they fit the reincarnation thing. Whereas Madara's really like an odd one out here. Now you could argue that's a good thing or whatever, but it is a little bit weird.
I think Madara is supposed to be the one that
Wait,
broke the mold, at least before Naruto and Sasuke did their thing of just breaking the cycle entirely. Like, you can say whatever you want about Madara being wrong or evil, and you've said yourself that you don't think Madara is evil, but like the fact that Madara is awakening the third eye when there's so much Buddhist, Hinduist principles in Naruto tells me that Kishimoto at least had some inkling of an idea of him being enlightened or something. Just tranquil,
well, I'm going to say two things. So one is, Hagoromo more or less discusses this concept in a sense is, now no longer Indra's reincarnate, he's getting close to me, going after Kaguya's, blah, 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 blah. Like, the point is he's going beyond that Indra role. My only thing is, and granted, you can have Madara start that path long before that moment. The real time to start is the My True Dream discussion with Hashirama. That's when he starts that path. The only thing is, I feel like if you're going to do that, he should be much more Sasuke-like, Indra-like, leading up to that moment, where he then sets on that new path that breaks the mold. The problem is he just never really is like Sasuke. Like, he isn't. He's not. They lost their brothers. One brother versus five, but like that's all they got in common. You know what? Who has the same thing going from Indra or Izuna before he died?
Even the scene where Madara is asking Hashirama to off himself just for like peace or whatever, I feel like that would have been more impactful on literally every front if the other side was just young, both Izuna and Tobirama. Because Tobirama obviously wouldn't want his older brother to die if he's young. A young child doesn't want to see their brother die. I can see it Tobirama older on being like, it's for the greater good. Not that he would do that, but like, you get my idea. He'd be less emotional because he's not a child. It just will work. better on every front, I feel. Hashirama makes the decision on his own, Madara accepts it at that point. And again, the fact that Madara is saying the first, second, third grade Shinobi World Wars continue happening, the children kept being sent out. I feel like it's just a lot better if they just were children in this case. And to be fair, his other brothers were children, which is why it still matters. But I think Izuno was like the one that, I don't want to say mattered most, but like maybe narratively at least.
I mean, he's the Rin moment for Obito, essentially. It's like, that's like the big one, because whether it's because he's the last brother or because he just was the closest brother independent of being the last brother, it doesn't matter. He's like the big one.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, with some of these like flip-flop swaps, not the age one, but like the other ones where it's like either Madara is the younger brother or whatever, now they have pros and cons. So obviously a pro is, well, Madara and Sasuke just like the one where like Madara's like the vengeance prone because he lost his older brother and whatnot. So like that idea, it's gonna have a much stronger parallel, which will highlight the difference between Sasuke and Madara.
Also, on that,
in the end, they're so similar. That difference is going to stand out as the important difference. The same way Naruto and Gaara, they're so similar, but that one important difference is what makes all the difference. It does highlight that better.
And especially for that parallel, that works really well for Madara's reasoning to leave the village, paralleling to Sasuke Jin Raiden when Sasuke's thinking about how we just can't return to the village right now because just his emotional state just won't allow him to. It's not like
another thing you could do with that.
Yeah.
Even then, just as a kid, Sasuke leaves the village at the end of part 1. You could do a thing where either the reasons are incredibly similar or they have a major difference that's important. In either case, it's a similar action. The reasoning, you can either have it be the same or different depending on what your intent is. But as far as that dynamic goes, it just is better. Some concerns you might have, though. So I do think the way Madara, the whole he wants to protect his younger brothers and all that jazz is something unique, and it does make Madara more Madara and less Sasuke's shadow. It makes Madara a very different character, which some people might like more because it's like, oh, he's got this completely different, even though there's some similarities, he's got a completely different character arc going on, realistically, compared to Sasuke. And if it's the shadow, maybe it's saying, oh, it's just another one of these again or whatever. So I can understand that. It kind of just depends on what's most important for the story. Technically speaking, as much as I like Madara's character arc as it is, technically speaking, because of the whole Indra Ashura reincarnation cycles, breaking cycles and cycles and cycles and cycles of hatred and cycles and all that jazz that the end of the Naruto story is doing, it probably would objectively be better if he was like more of a Sasuke shadow.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that is a thing that they're doing.
Literally. Okay, you said something that I thought was kind of funny, is